Good evening, everyone. I'll call the Monday, October 7th Board of Commissioners meeting into order. At this time, I'm going to invite Pastor Patrick Moore from Provident Baptist in Scarborough to lead us in an invocation and pledge this evening. Thank you.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come and talk about the business of Currituck County. God, we pray for wisdom and discernment, guidance, as we discuss business to make this county all that it can be. And so, God, I pray for your presence here tonight as decisions are made for the benefit of the residents of this county. God, may it be according to your will and to the benefit of the people here. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Have a good evening. All right. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add a closed session to discuss matters related to personnel and GS 143-318-11A3 to consult with the county attorney and to preserve the attorney-client privilege related to the matter entitled Ayers v. Currituck, County Department of Social Services.
And we would need to add 143-318.
Oh, yes, sir.
For personnel.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. This evening, next agenda item is public comment. I don't have anyone currently signed up for public comment. Actually, I believe I do. Sorry. Too many pieces of paper back here. Oh, Mrs. Virginia Sykes, please come on up. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. My name is Ginger Sykes. I'm president of the Animal Lovers Assistance League, and I want to highlight to you that we have coming in a little less than 2 weeks the Bark in the Park on October 19th, Saturday, from 10 in the morning until 2:30, and with a rain date of the next day, the 20th of October, Sunday, from 12 noon until 4 o'clock. This is a fun dog show in which every dog is a winner. And we hope that every member, two-legged and four-legged member of the family, will come and have a good time. If you don't have a dog, we can work on that because we have some rescues coming that will bring dogs that are available for adoption. And we have a very special situation this year that we never had before, and so far as I know, hasn't been done in this part of the country before. We have a demonstration by a pet therapist with her pet therapy dog, Glock. I met with them about 2 months ago up at Currituck House in Moyock. Every time we opened the door and this beautiful big-headed pit bull came into the room, the residents broke out in a big smile, couldn't have him come over so they could pet him quickly enough. And that dog is so booked, he can only get there one time a month. If we could get 3 more certified, and we will have a handout on how to get them certified, and if your dog has the right personality, then we could have 1 a week for these folks to look forward to. And we have something else very special in addition to what we've had before with the Sheriff's Department Canine Unit coming and doing a special presentation. We have also a professional dog trainer who is going to teach you how to teach your dog to come. If he gets out, what's the most important single command for him to know? Come. And we have for the children, we have also face painting and pumpkin painting. We have pet photos by shooters at the beach. Just a lot of fun things. A DJ, all that sort of thing. And we have some of our judges are sitting among us this evening. Owen Etheridge, who has judged with us before, and our new judge, Selena Jarvis. And she is going to be joined by the pet therapy person I told you about, but as one of the judges, the other one will be the professional dog trainer I was talking about. And then we have the head judge is Denise Hall, who's the Register of Deeds. Denise has actually had her dogs shown, and she has shown them at Westminster. So a very fun day. We hope you can all come, have fun with your dog, your children, and just a pleasant day to enjoy everybody in your household and your family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't have anyone else signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak this evening? All right. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Move on to Commissioner's report. For those of you who pay attention, we just had a work session on solar arrays, and in lieu of, for those of you that live down by Granny or driven through there and seen the site down at Granny, the Board of Commissioners is very concerned. Obviously, there's some laying on the ground after what was arguably a pretty minor storm, minor hurricane for us, if there can be such a thing. But we have some concerns with it, and just had a work session on where we stand as a county, what we can do, what we can't do, that sort of thing. And I don't know if the other commissioners will expound on that more. Commissioner Payment, obviously, that's his district, and Commissioner Beaumont has been very involved in keeping an eye on what's going on down there. For my neck of the woods in Corolla, lately on all over Facebook, the wild horse fence has been a hot topic, and the county's taking it on the chin, and we don't actually do the fence. That is part of the wild horse funds purview to maintain the fence, and it has gone into such a state of disrepair that the county has come in to help them replace it at this point. It's beyond a repair. We did a little bit of repair work in the last week to some glaring holes that were open. There's a section with 3 pilings missing. Not much can be done there. Luckily, the tide, it's out further. You won't get to it unless it's really low tide. So we now have several people bidding on replacing the fence and are going to be moving forward with that. So the county's well aware. We've been trying for over a year to get someone to do the work and have been able to actually get a contractor to come out and do the work. They are so busy, the economy's good, that they can't show up and do it. So it is not because we don't care. We recognize that it is a huge part of what makes Currituck Outer Banks a special place, in addition to our amazing beaches and other things that we have over there. But we are working on that. That's about all I have this evening. Mr. Payment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chairman touched on, and I'm sure Commissioner Beaumont will touch on a little bit more as well, but the solar farms, it's been new to the county, and it seems like we're constantly learning a few things as we go along and trying to make the appropriate adjustments for the safety of the citizens out there. And it was a pretty, it was a good meeting that we had earlier on the solar arrays. And we are trying to do our due diligence to make sure that they're done properly and safely. And this storm really showed some concerns. Another thing I want to bring up is on November 2nd, the county is going to be having their Currituck Heritage Festival. Not vegetable, but
That's
festival.
a vegetable festival?
Yeah. Oh, geez. It's going to be at the CCRC in Bowes Point. And every year they do a fundraiser portion of it. It's a People Choice for Barbecue Awards, and Currituck Kids is a local charity that all the money that's raised with Currituck Kids stays to help kids in Currituck County, and they're going to be working this, and we need barbecuers. I know Commissioner Beaumont has done it one time. Anyone out there who can put together a barbecue, whether it's your first time or if you've been doing it for 30 years, love to get you out there to show your stuff and let people taste it and come out and see a good festival and see what Currituck Kids is all about and help a local charity. So for more information, you can contact the Moyock Welcome Center, and that number is 435-2947. And like I said, the festival and everything, it's just going to be great. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Mr. Etheridge?
Thank you. For a happy note, in just over 11 weeks, folks, it's going to be Christmas time. And yes, the Department of Social Service has officially kicked off its Operation Santa campaign. Last year, the good people of Currituck County provided gifts for over 500 children and also food baskets to senior citizens. It was a great success, but only through the generosity of the people of Currituck County. For more information on the project and how you can get involved in this program, you can contact the Department of Social Service at 232-3083. And if you're a county resident who would need some assistance from Operation Santa, the application process started today, and it will run through November the 22nd. Also, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So please make sure to make your appointments for your mammogram because it does save lives. I'm a 9-year survivor, and also I have a niece who takes her last chemo treatment tomorrow, and both of us, our breast cancer was detected through a mammogram. So make sure you get your mammograms done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Beaumont.
To, I guess, lightly touch on the Grandy Solar, the county is pushing as hard as we can. One of the things I think we learned here recently is that there are no state guidelines on these facilities. So the state was pretty gung-ho in getting them going in the state, and we rank in the top 5 in the country with solar facilities. And we don't even have official policies in place yet on a state level. So I know I've been in contact with our representatives here. I would encourage those in the audience or those that are watching to go ahead and let our representatives know that we need guidelines in place. That the reality is they probably should have been in place long before today. I am happy to announce that the SAFER grant that Currituck County applied for self-contained breathing apparatus to be consistent throughout the county, that grant money was awarded, the equipment has been arrived, and we're doing ongoing training with our volunteer departments to get everybody trained on the new SCBAs in the county. And the only other item is we get to go to an ARPO meeting this week. There's many questions that the county manager and I are going to have for our Department of Transportation. Such joyful things as why you shut down one of the lanes of the bridge during weekend traffic. And I'm sure that they'll have great answers for us. So that's all I have.
Well, the rest of the world on a weekend, that makes sense. Just
Yeah.
down here. Mr. McCord.
All right, I got a couple things. The touching on the animals, the rabies clinic was last weekend here in the county. In 2 hours, they serviced 376 animals. 2 hours, 376 animals got their vaccination. I had a animal control or animal services shelter/control meeting last week. The canine demo she was discussing, this is new for us. We have our own certified instructor. He can teach. The guys used to have to go to Rocky Mount, to Blackwater. Today was their first day in our county where we have one of our deputies is a certified instructor to teach canines. Saves the county a lot of taxpayer money. We now have 6 canines in the county. Most of those were free dogs, so it wasn't taxpayer money for to getting those dogs again. Sunday, I attended an event the Mayock Fire Department had. Commissioner Etheridge was there as well. It was a great event. They had a little fall thing with the fire department. It was 200, what do you think, probably 200, 250 people there yesterday easily. That was a really, really good event, which they want to continue to grow on that next year. And touching on Christmas, the Christmas parade is the 6th of December. December 6th, the first Friday. Every year, I think the last 4 years I've attended it, it's grown every year. We've had more floats, we've had more people, we've had more. So mark your calendars, December 6th, Christmas parade, and that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Mr. Etheridge.
I'll add on what Kevin was talking about. It was the Moyock Volunteer Fire Department's first annual community day. And it was to equate some, educate people on some of the things they did. They went through various demonstrations, how they can go from just street clothes into full apparatus with their air packs on in 2 minutes. And that looked pretty tough to do. I'm glad I don't have to do that. But it was well attended, and Kevin and Deputy Chappell were out there with the digital identikids, and they were doing quite a few children, which I would encourage anybody that anytime that opportunity comes available, take your grandchildren, your children there, and so that if something were, God forbid, to happen, that they do have a leg up in terms of helping to find them. Also, I went to the football game Friday night, and Currituck kind of whipped up on Burton of Williamsburg, Virginia, 48-0, and I think that's 2 weeks in a row that they've won 48-0.
We've had 3 48-0 games this season.
And Commissioner Beaumont was there,
Too.
and McCord was there. And it's great to see people in the stands. The band put on a great performance at halftime, and people ought to go to a football game, whether you have any children in the school system or not, just to take pride in what our young athletes and musicians are doing to promote Currituck County throughout the region and area. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Jarvis.
I had the pleasure of being interviewed by a local Boy Scout, Nicholas Woods, October 3rd of last week, and he had questions about the rights, duties, and responsibilities of citizenship. Since I had taught 30 years that subject, I guess it made me a good victim. And I just want to commend all of the Scout leaders and the young men in our county like Nicholas who willingly devote themselves to the betterment of themselves, the betterment of our country and community through the Boy Scouts of America organization. The Boy Scouts of America have helped shape more than 2.3 million people, young men in the program today, and has been around since 1910. So I wish Nicholas good luck in achieving his first-class designation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. County Manager's report. Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First up, I want to talk about the debris pickup that's going on post-storm. We've currently picked up 8,231 cubic yards of debris and have removed 1,235 leaners or hangers. Those are trees that are hanging out over the road. That got off to kind of a slow start. We talked to the company. They've brought in extra trucks. They're making pretty good progress now. I'd encourage anybody, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us so that we can make sure that you haven't been missed if you've got any concerns. We are planning on doing one pass, so if they've already come down your street, you can take your debris to the transfer station. Some more updates on some of our capital projects. Our Maritime Museum has begun. They've begun site work out there, so they have started to clear the trees, and they've actually demolished the old bathrooms there by the lighthouse. So we've got some really fancy porta potties that are going to be brought in once we run electricity and plumbing that'll take care of the site. Our public safety building, we've closed on the loan. That facility will begin having site work sometime in the next 3 weeks. We have applied for septic permits at Shingle Landing Park. So that once we get those permits in hand, we should be ready to go out for bid. It should take approximately 3 to 4 weeks, and then we should begin. We should be able to bring an award to you all for approval, hopefully sometime in November. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is that the board does have a strategic planning session coming up next week on October 15th and 16th, and that'll be at the Cooperative Extension Building. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Question, just to reiterate on the debris pickup. I'm sure, I think we need there's a diameter limit of the size of, I rode down some roads and I'm seeing 2 foot wide trunks that are laying alongside the road.
They can get it.
Yeah, there is no diameter limit. The limit is in length. It's 6 feet.
Okay, but make sure you cut them in 6 foot lengths, because these things I'm seeing 12, 15, 20 feet long laying inside the road, and they're not going to be able to snatch those if you don't cut them up.
And I mean, so they have to be cut up into 6 foot length so the grapple can put it into into the dumpster.
How many trucks? I mean, originally it was one or two. It was a couple.
They had
I think
three
they
at
got
first.
4 or 5 now.
We've got 10 in the county now.
Oh, wow.
So-
I got one more question on that. I was stopped by a couple of residents in Currituck on the Sound. They picked up, and I noticed they did it on Bell's Island too, which obviously when the truck gets full, you have to leave. And it was the end of the day. I noticed in two of those two neighborhoods that there was still a lot of stuff, and then I didn't see them in there the next day. So
Yeah, I'm not privy to how their daily call out goes, but if anybody has a concern that they've been missed, they can feel free to reach out to us.
Okay.
We will first of all check to make sure that their road is a state maintained road,
Yeah.
because we are only picking up along state maintained right of ways. And if it is, and they feel like they've been missed, we'll reach out to the company and confirm whether they've been there or not. And if not, we will make sure that they know that it's out there.
It's a fan runner. It's too hot to handle. Where would they call if they need to call? I know you don't want to take all those calls, I'm sure, personally. So
Well,
Kevin.
Kevin, right?
so they would want to reach out to our emergency management office.
Okay.
And I can't remember the phone number off the
That's
top of my
okay.
head right now.
Emergency
but
management office,
Emergency
all right.
management office is where they'd call. We are forwarding all of those questions through there, and then the company, since we've reached out to them, have been very good to work with. So we've actually had a couple of issues come up, and we've addressed them. We've got a meeting with the company and the monitor tomorrow. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that folks. To me, it's something that's kind of unique with this situation, because this is potentially going to be a FEMA reimbursed event. We are required to have a debris monitor. So actually, each truck has someone in the truck making sure that they're picking up where they're supposed to pick up. They're not picking up things they shouldn't pick up, so that the public doesn't spend more money for needless debris pickup. So.
Okay. Learn something new every day.
The point where that's important is if we cannot document that it in fact came from the storm, FEMA could deny our entire claim, not just the washer that got thrown into the back of the machine. So that is the purpose of the monitor, is to ensure we're in compliance with federal regulations so that we get our full reimbursement.
Yep, and it makes sure that everyone is being good stewards of all taxpayer money, in that case federal money. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, next agenda item, public hearing. Item A, PB 19-18, Wheels of Steel. Bernadette Gariglio, did I get that right? Gariglio? Okay. You can stay seated for just a moment. Is requesting an automobile sales rentals use permit for property located at 8295 Currituck Highway, Palace Point, tax map 124C, parcel 4, Poplar Branch Township. And at this time, I'll need you guys to come up so we can swear you in. Anyone that wishes to speak on this matter has to be sworn in.
If he's not going to speak, he doesn't need to be sworn in.
If you would, please put your left hand on the Bible and right hand in the air. Got to get the other. All right. Do you both solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. All right. And
I'll go with the staff report and then you can, I'm sorry, I'll go with the staff report and then you can. Okay. All right.
yep, you can have a seat for a minute. All right, Miss Lo Cicero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you tonight is a use permit for automobile sales and rentals. We do require board approval of a use permit for those type uses in the general business district. The property is located at 8295 Currituck Highway in Powell's Point. It is going to be going into an existing multi-tenant building. It is zoned general business, and you can see it's at the corner of Freedom Avenue and Currituck Highway. And the majority of the surrounding properties are zoned general business, with the agriculture zoning across the street. And it is in a full service area of the 2006 land use plan classification. So the applicant is requesting a use permit for automobile sales and rentals. And the display area is going to be located right here in this area. The business, that will be the outdoor display of the vehicles, and the business will be located within one of the stalls in that multi-tenant building. The actual business itself. The display areas also will be have to meet our landscaping requirements for a Type A landscaping buffer. Because there is some existing landscaping there, they will only have to put in 5 new small caliber trees that meet our landscaping, the Type A buffer. So a community meeting was held, and the business is called Wheels of Steel, and the purpose is to rent classic vehicles. There is adequate infrastructure as far as public water. It is on septic tank, and they will be required to install a Type A buffer and go through the a minor site plan approval process. So the Technical Review Committee recommends adoption of this use permit subject to the following conditions of approval. That the application complies with all the review standards of the UDO provided, and provided the following outstanding items are addressed, that the Type A landscaping buffers are required between the street and all display areas, and the vehicles must not be driven on any portion of the septic system. The conditions of approval are necessary to ensure compliance with the view standards of the UDO and to prevent or minimize adverse effects of the development application on the surrounding lands, including the property shall be developed in accordance with the approved minor site plan, and the outdoor storage of vehicles shall occur only within the approved display areas. So in issuing a use permit, we have 4 standards that the board must make findings on, and typically staff takes responsibility for 2 of those standards. That the use will be in conformity with the land use plan or other officially adopted plans. It is in a full service area of the 2006 land use plan within the Point Harbor sub area, and the proposed use is in keeping with the policies of that plan, including policies ED1 and ED4, and that the use will finding that is the staff's the staff takes as responsibility is the use will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate public facilities, including but not limited to schools, fire and rescue, law enforcement, and other county facilities. And the preliminary staff findings is that this will be no effect on the school system, and we do have adequate other public facilities to serve this project. And so at this time, I'll be glad to answer any questions about this use.
They didn't say in the application, how many vehicles are they planning on renting?
I'm not sure. That would be for the applicant.
Okay.
And but they can display no more than can fit on the display area that on the proposed site plan.
Okay, and we don't know how many parking spaces are allocated to each unit. I'm guessing it's kind of looks like 5 units and 22 spaces, I believe.
Yes, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Where's the septic field?
It's back here in the rear of the property.
So no donuts on the septic field.
No donuts on the septic
All right.
field. It's in the. Some of, or is this the repair area?
Right, it looks like it might be behind.
In the back and the front.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But in our building,
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold you up in just a second there. I'll call you up. You have to come up and talk to us. So, we'll get done with Ms. Cicero.
So, yeah, after looking at the site plan, there is some along the front and a septic area in the rear.
Okay. More questions from Ms. Cicero? Okay. At this time, then I'll call you. Come on up, Ms. Bernadette, and we'll tell us about your project.
okay, so we call ourselves Wheels of Steel, WHEELZ, basically because we want to rent classic vehicles, and also because we hail from the Pittsburgh area and it's steel city, and classic cars, their wheels are made of steel. And currently, we have 2 T-buckets. We have a 1977 Corvette a 1982 El Camino, and we have a 2009 Jeep. And so that's what we'll be starting out with. We anticipate this to be a small business. Right now, I'm not sure how it's going to go. You know, we're hoping for the best. But my husband and I moved here in June from Pennsylvania, and we have everything else in place other than the use permit. We have our LLC, which is Wheels of Steel, and
Have you looked into insurance yet? Auto rental insurance?
yeah, and I currently have insurance on these vehicles.
Well, you're going to be. I had an auto rental business. Okay, so that's why I was asking some of the questions I was asking. So, when you have a renter come in, you're going to have to have insurance, and they're going to have to provide their own insurance as well,
right.
for full coverage. So,
Right.
the reason I'm asking this is because I used a U.S.-based company, and I wanted to ensure that you guys use a reputable U.S.-based company, or like Lloyd's, it's a reputable, well-known firm. And
So
I'll
I
make
could
sure-
come to you with some questions.
Yes, I'm well versed on this stuff. What these are. If we're going to approve you, we want to make sure that you know what you need to get to be successful as well, and make sure that we're protecting the public. So. That's certainly one caveat to it. So you say you have 5 vehicles to start out with right now. Okay, well, the reason I asked about the parking spaces is because it's pretty limited there. I'm imagining your landlord only allows for X. You're going to get how many spaces from him or her?
He said as many as we want, because there's other businesses throughout this whole building, the couple different buildings, but hardly any of them use those spaces. But I don't plan to show all of the vehicles out front.
Right.
I plan to do it more online. Plus, we have vehicles stored inside the facility
Building
itself.
Okay.
Currently, I have I have 3 inside.
Okay. And will you guys be performing the maintenance yourselves? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, it just depends. It depends on what the problem.
Is.
If it's too much for us to handle, I already have attained a mechanic in Elizabeth City.
Oh, you got to use somebody from Currituck.
Yeah.
You got to use a local guy.
Well, because he's a professional at transmissions.
All right.
Do you know someone who's experienced with transmissions?
A couple of them in Currituck.
We can't. We can't.
Well, I need.
Well, we can't.
We
We're just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, we can't.
Just
I
so
mean,
you
I'm
can settle
interested
the city.
in body guys, paint guys, and transmissions.
There's one in there.
We can't. Yeah, we can't.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
I
we're
know what it takes to
We're
work
just
on.
we're just
vehicles.
giving you a little bit of a hard time because she just said Elizabeth City, but we're not serious about that. Okay.
Well, I've worked on vehicles all of my life, so I know what it takes.
Okay.
But I could do the easy things. I can't do transmissions.
All right. Well, the reason I bring up parking is I've had to deal with this a lot in my life through my business, and usually staff will set a limit on this kind of stuff that you can only have X amount of vehicles, even though the other spaces are empty. Those spaces have to be quantified
Right.
and for the future use for the next tenant that may come in there. So it is. That's why I asked Ms. LaCicero about the parking and want to make sure that you're okay and you know what's going to happen there, because it does need to be limited to whatever your unit is rated at. There is a number out there that when they built that building, each unit gets X amount of spots. And so I think we need to figure out what that is, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Jason Littoral has been working with me all along with this whole plan, and because he's more of an expert than I am.
Sure.
He's been out there. He knows what's going on. He was there for the community meeting that I held. And you could probably get a lot of information from Jason.
Okay.
And going through the minor site plan process, we will ensure that they have the dedicated number of parking spaces.
Well, I'm just worried about overuses because as part of a use permit, we should probably set that as a condition of the permit that they can't have more than X amount of vehicles there or not. I mean, it's what happened to me. That's why I'm thinking about it, that I can only have X amount of vehicles. And it seems to be a pretty normal process that I've gone through, that we had that kind of established ahead of time what the site would handle.
And who determines that? The owner of the building?
No, there should be something on this site that says each,
Spot gets
yeah,
X
and
amount.
then the business itself, they actually quantify how much they generate in terms. So if a customer comes in to rent a vehicle from you, do you anticipate them renting a car for 24 hours?
I'm hoping they rent it for the week.
Well, at a minimum, do you have a minimum? I should say, like, is it going to be a half day
Yes.
rental or 24-hour rental type situation, or?
It'll be either daily or weekly or monthly.
Okay. And do you anticipate them leaving cars on the site?
No.
Okay.
No, if I have to, I will deliver the vehicle to them.
What other types of businesses are located in this complex?
I'm not sure.
I think there's a roofing.
I know there's a plumbing business.
Roofing. I think it's a roofer. A metal roof building. Metal roofing.
Question, did you say you were going to be storing vehicles inside the building?
I currently have 3 vehicles inside.
Okay, the only concern being in the fire department, a couple things is the suppression for that type of application, that building meet those standards for fire suppression? And I do know the requirements for ventilation, for exhaust ventilations inside a building when you have vehicles like that for carbon monoxide, especially with the adjoining neighbors there too. And have we addressed that or looked into that? Ms. LaCicera?
It's basically garage building.
Yeah.
So it's rated for that type of application.
Well, it's just a shell, right? It's got a little office space up front with a bathroom, and then
Yeah.
then an open
The rest
warehouse
is
type.
it all open, yeah.
But you still have the same problem. It's an enclosed space.
Well, if you enclose the doors and all that too, and you're running vehicles inside the building,
No, I would never run, I would never do that. Never in a million years.
No, I understand. I know like the fire departments, they're starting to hook up those exhaust systems down inside.
Well,
to
I
run
was an
them all.
EMT. I was an EMT for 10 years.
So you know the
My
effects
best
of
friend
carbon
died in my
monoxide.
garage from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay.
I had another good friend who I saved his life that was in his garage with the door open, and he had carbon monoxide poisoning. I would never, ever, in a million years, run a car in a garage.
Commissioner Payment, just to clarify, the process of what building codes it meets and any changes that would have to be made in order to meet the building code would happen after this process. So whenever they pull a permit, then it would be,
This would be addressed.
yeah, you'd go through a fire inspection, that kind of thing.
Any more questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have, at this time, I'll open the public hearing for this item. Do not have anyone currently signed up for that. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? All right, seeing none, I will close that. And any discussion from the board? No? That's good. We'll open the floor for a motion.
I move to approve PB 19-18 use permit with staff recommendations because the applicant has demonstrated the proposed use meets the use permit review standards of the UDO. And I want to include the following conditions. One, that the improvements will be made to the site in accordance with the approved minor site plan. 2, that the display areas will be screened with a Type A buffer yard. 3, outdoor storage of vehicles shall occur only within approved display areas. 4, that vehicles shall not be driven on any portion of the septic system. And the use will not endanger the public safety or health. The use will not be a danger to the public health or safety as it's located in an existing commercial building in the general business zoning district. The business consists of rental of licensed classic vehicles. 2, the use will not injure the value of adjoining or abutting lands and will be in harmony with the area in which it's located. The location is surrounded by similar uses in the general business zoning district and therefore will not injure the value of abutting lands. This will be a very small scale operation. 3, the use will be in conformity with the land use plan or other specifically adopted plans. The 2006 land use plan classifies this site as full service within the Point Harbor sub-area. The proposed use is in keeping with the policies of the plan, including policies ED1 and ED4. And finally, the use will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate public facilities. There will be no effect on the school system. Currituck County has other adequate public facilities to serve this use.
And I would like to ask you, if you would, to make another condition that they will maintain rental insurance on the vehicles anytime that they're...
All right, and that they will maintain rental insurance on the vehicles.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it carries unanimously. Yes, we can. We'll take a brief recess.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to reopen public comment, if I
Okay.
could.
Thank you. Can we have a second for
I'll
that?
second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Reopen public comment. You're up, young lady. It's been a while. I'm going to have to remind you to state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I know.
A little bit.
I've done this before.
I know.
My name is Doris Flora, and I live at 430 Currituck Highway in Moyock. And when we were talking about the senior citizens and the Meals on Wheels and that type of thing, it takes some time, but one day we're going to be their age. And what we need, in fact, I am their age.
Not yet.
But they need the help that they're getting. The food is good, and it's really helpful to them, and they just enjoy seeing you. Their faces just light up when you walk in. And, of course, if you give them a hug or something, that makes them that much happier, because most of them are there by themselves. Some of them have people that do stay with them, but they need your help. They need you to come. And with all the houses that we have in Moyock and in Currituck County now, I don't see why it is so difficult for people to give an hour or hour and a half one day a week or one day a month. I'll take whatever you can give me. I did that when we were in the fire department in Moyock, and it was a volunteer, and you had to beg for people to help you. And I would just tell them, they'd come up and we'd talk about it, and they'd say, well, I don't know. And I said, the only thing I'm going to ask for you to do is to give me 1 day a month. That's all I ask. And you can split it up into little minimums of hours, whatever. But it takes us as citizens of Currituck County to get out and make our county great. It's not you people sitting up here that's going to make it great. It's people like us that care about Currituck County. It's what we give, things that we do for Currituck County. I started when I was 23 years old in Moyock. My husband was in the fire department, and it was hard. We had needed people that were on the ambulance because they didn't have enough men to sign up for the ambulance because you had to have the training to run the ambulance. And Dolly Creekmore, I don't know if any of you know her or knew her, but Dolly Creekmore and myself, there was 8 men that signed up to do volunteer work on the ambulance. and go to the scenes and everything. And so Dolly and I got together, and I said, hey, how about we be 9 and 10, 8 and 9, so they will have their 10 people. And that's what we did. That's what we did in Moyock. We got together. Our community was a family there. And a lot of people that were there, you know, they're associated. Now you don't even know your neighbors. But anyway, that's beside the point. But that is one of the things that I feel that we really need to stress to our neighbors, to ourselves, is we make our community great. You are here to listen to us for the things that need help. But there again, we need the people themselves. We've got more rooftops in here than we had in whole of Currituck County at one time. It's all in Moyock. But anyway, that's just beside the point again. And citizens, we need to get those citizens. You didn't just come here to sit on the road and go to bed. What you need to do is understand that you have to be part of it. You have to be part of your community. You have to live here. I know one night we were here and this man says, well, I have to wait 15 minutes to get out of Tulse Creek Road to get to work or get home or get into my, and I told him, I said, welcome to our world. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to go out there and realize that you can't just get out there at 5 o'clock. Sometimes you have to start a little bit earlier getting out on the traffic. You might have to go a little way down the road and go to the next road to get out of your area. So it's not you guys that are doing that and creating those problems. We have to understand what it takes to run a county. And it really is hard work. A little bit more? Can I have a little bit more?
Ma'am, please continue.
TV is gray. You can't hardly see anybody.
Right.
I told and I believe the microphones, no, they weren't working, were they? I wasn't even doing a good job.
No, they were working. We could hear you just fine.
Okay.
You're good at projecting your voice.
I haven't been coming to the meetings for a while, but I'm back. And I'm listening. I'm listening. The ladies over there, Kitty, she jumped all over me the other day, you know, we need you back. So I thought, well, I'll come back and share my life because I've lived here a long time and I've seen a lot of faces. And people out there, please help your community, help your peoples that live here, give them a smile. I have 11 deliveries that we milk in Moyock and a dog. I carry him a treat every day, every time we go. He knows our car when we drive in the driveway. He is at the door scratching and waiting for us. So happy to see us, and the people are the same way. And he loves for that little bone that we bring him. But I asked the family if it was okay if I could do it before I did that. But please understand, I'm talking to the people out there. You guys are the helpers. You're the backbone. You're the people we go to if we have a problem. So we would appreciate everything you could do, and I hope the people in our community and in Currituck County will come out and start helping. There's a lot of rooftops around here, and I don't know who lives in them. They might be empty. Thank you so much for listening to my...
Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you. Well said. All right. Now I've lost where I'm at here. Anyone else like to speak to public comment this evening? All right. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Thank you for reminding me. All right. Next agenda item, recommendation under new business, recommendation of an award for a new well serving Southern Outer Banks water system reverse osmosis water plant. Got that out. Eric, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you? He's back.
I just want to say that's a tough act to follow.
It is. You got big shoes to fill.
Okay, so let's go to work. My name's Eric Weatherly. I'm a county engineer, and I'm here tonight to present a recommendation of award for construction of a well at the Southern Outer Banks water system. So Southern Outer Banks water system gets all of its water for treatment from groundwater wells. We put in the capital improvement plan and budgeted for a new well for that system. That well has been designed and has been bid out. We received one bid, the first bid opening, and we weren't very surprised because it is very specialized work. So we rebid it, and the second bid, we only got one bidder, but that was a Majet Well and Pump Company was the low bidder. We are familiar with Majet well drilling, very competent driller, so we don't have any problem with that. The bid amount was $384,729, and this was within our budget. So with your approval of our recommendation, we can execute contracts and go to work this winter.
So what do we get for $380,000?
You get a deep reverse osmosis well that's drilled about 180 feet deep and will produce about 220 gallons per minute. And it'll be tied into the rest of our 7 deep wells.
Okay.
Quality H2O. Mm-hmm. Quality water.
Quality water. All right. Any more questions for Steph? Kevin, would you like to make a motion for this? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm messing with you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Weatherly. Any discussion from the board? All right. I'll open the floor for a motion.
So I'll make the motion for approval.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item B, consideration of approval of a grant agreement with NC 911 Board Grant Award for Public Safety Building. Is that you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is an award that we received in the grant contract that goes with it in the amount of $583,655 that would go towards the 911 portion of our public safety building. The contract's been reviewed by the county attorney and myself, and everything is in order. We're just seeking approval from the board because of the size of the contract.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carries unanimously. Item C, consideration of approval of contracts for Currituck Regional Airport Runway 5, PAPI replacement and airfield lighting vault backup generator. I'm guessing that's you again, Mr. Steichleiter.
Actually, our airport
There he
manager,
is.
William Nelson, is going to
Back in the shadows.
take this one.
Good evening, and Ben already introduced me. I'm William Nelson, the airport manager of Currituck County. So I just want to give you guys a general description of what a PAPI is. PAPI is a precision approach path indicator. So it's typically right now we have a 2-light system. It's on the left side of the runway, and it's a red and white light. It helps guide aircraft down to the runway. Also, we're going to be doing an airfield generator that will control all the airfield lighting. And that'll help us in cases like we just had a natural disaster of a hurricane where we were out of power for about 3 days there where we couldn't have any traffic at night due to not having any lights. During the project, there will be short-term runway closure due to them working so closely to the runway. The project was bid out on August 8th. We had 3 bids, and the lowest responsible bid we had was Southeast Sites, and that bid came in at $319,810. With that being said, we'll be using MPE funding, which is non-primary entitlement funding, federal funding, and that's a 90-10 match. With staff recommendation, based on the information that Talbot and Bright has found, we recommend award of contract to Southeast Site Services in the amount of $319,810. The final award of the project should be contingent upon receiving the fully executed grant modification from the Division of Aviation.
Okay. Questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We'll open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the contract for the PAPI.
A second from Mr. McCord. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item is consent agenda. Comments, questions, concerns?
I have some questions about the job description. I noticed for the finance director, the accountant, the assistant, that we took out a criminal and credit check. Why was that removed? I would think of any.
I caught that.
That actually goes through our personnel policy at this point. So I think that the reason for that is that used to be one of the positions that we did it, and we didn't do it across the board whenever that job description was created. At this point, every potential employee goes through the background and drug and alcohol testing or drug testing. So the credit check is something that has fallen out of favor in general across employment in the public sector, just because of the fact that in the world that we live in, a lot of people have credit issues, and maybe it was their fault, maybe it wasn't. We've come through a recession, so if we weeded out everybody who had a credit issue, we'd have a problem. Now, with the finance director, I understand the concern there, but they go through, for that position, we are looking for somebody with a CPA and the accountant or the assistant. So at that point, they're going to go through background checks to maintain their CPA license that would cover those things.
Because I know when we went and heard about embezzlement, and I'm like, we're taking it out, it did make me wonder a little bit about it. Also, the animal care technician, animal control, they're to report to the operation director. You took out county manager. Should it still keep you in there in case for some reason they can't contact the operation director?
At that point, it would fall outside of the job description. Obviously, they'd report to whoever's in the next chain of command in that organization. If there's nobody in the chain of command there, it would go up. So, for instance, right now, our animal services director is out because of a workplace injury, or back today.
Good.
Oh, cool.
But when she was out, they reported to Rachel, and I can't remember her job title off the top of my head. But so it doesn't have to be in there. Obviously, under extenuating circumstances, they would report to whomever.
And then, sorry to be so picky, but under the athletic ground manager, we want them to be able to install and repair irrigation system.
Yes, ma'am. So a big part of the athletic grounds is the irrigation system. So that is and that's something that they already do. So that's a duty they've already taken on. And so the reason for this update is it's part of the salary study. And so it needs to actively reflect what they do, so that when we compare it to other job descriptions around the state, we can make sure that it matches up.
And one last, the maintenance. We said set up voting equipment. We need to have them take it down too.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that would fall under other duties as assigned.
Okay.
And whatever else.
And that does prove I read my agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. What, you going to move to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
See, we have a second.
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Beaumont. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I will now recess the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners and open the special meeting of the Tourism Development Authority. First item we have this evening is a budget amendment. Ms. Tameron's in the house with us this evening. Lovely to see you again. All right, who's doing the budget?
I can handle the budget
Okay.
amendment.
All right.
So the budget amendment before you tonight is basically to move money to make the emergency repairs that were needed to the fence that keeps the wild horses out of Corolla proper and in the four-wheel drive area.
Okay. I'll move to approve that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is consideration and possible adoption of the Travel and Tourism Event Marketing Assistance and Event Grant Programs. And I'm guessing that's where you come in, Ms. Tameron, to tell us about these wonderful new programs we have.
That's where I come in. What we're looking at tonight is actually a rewrite of our event assistance marketing program and the addition of a new event grant program. Let's see if I can get the... There we are. Okay, so in the past, our event marketing assistance was out there for our organizations and businesses to come to us with an event that they wanted help with marketing. So that's what the dollars were going towards. this was kind of an open-end marketing and assistance program, so an organization, if it was a nonprofit, could come back for 3 years at decreasing levels of funding, and after the third year, the nonprofit could continue to come back for the same amount of money infinitum. For-profit businesses were only eligible for 3 years. So what we're proposing is that we're going to change this particular assistance program so that they can get more dollars up front, but they are limited to 3 years, no matter whether they're a for-profit or a nonprofit. And the reasoning for that is by the third year, they should be established enough so that they can go forward on their own. The organizations that are available for this are community groups, nonprofit organizations, and tourism-related businesses. Marketing activities under this program include paid media advertising and promotional materials that will assist in drawing visitors and tourists from outside of Currituck County. That's a very important piece of this, is to draw people from outside of the county. It's not for local events, but it's for tourism events. Funding, as I went over before, is for 3 years only, and the yearly funding in my budget is $20,000. That's to be spread over whoever comes and is asking for assistance. I just have a little graph here. So here's some of the key components. The applicant must be located in Currituck County or partnering with a Currituck County applicant. So if you have somebody in Dare County that wants to partner with a Currituck County organization, we will allow that. But it has to be, at least one of the partners has to be a Currituck County business or organization. The event has to be held in Currituck County, and it has to be open to the public. The majority of the attendees that they're expecting must be from outside the county.
And how will you gauge that, Tamron?
They're going to have to put into place some kind of a method of collecting that information. There's various ways to do it. Sometimes they'll go out and look at license plates. Sometimes they'll ask if they're coming in. Sometimes it's just however they feel that they can collect that information. So they'll have to tell us what they're thinking about. I mean, we face that ourselves when we do our own events, not only just in attendance. For example, the Currituck Heritage Festival, you've got people coming in and out all day, so it's kind of hard. One way that some groups do it is they will actually quadrant out a field, let's say the event space. They'll quadrant it out, and they'll count the people in the squares and then kind of average it out. So that's one way to do it. Another way is we could fly the drone over and kind of gauge how many people we have on the grounds there. So there's various methods of accounting for that, but we do want them to be looking at drawing people from outside the county. Now, when we say a visitor, the official definition of a tourist is someone who's coming to a destination 50 miles away. That's one definition. In our definition, we are looking at anybody who's traveling into our county from another county or another area. We count them as a visitor. So it could be Camden, it could be Dare County, Pasquotank, Hampton Roads. We consider them a visitor for this program.
So it'd be kind of hard to tell by looking at license plates.
It would be. But for example, for the rodeo, we'll ask people, where are you from? So we do go around and collect some of that information. We have quite a few people for the rodeo coming from Virginia and
Mr. McCord
Pasquotank.
said he would set up a license check for you.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, just start keeping
I didn't
tabs.
say how many we got.
We will give your deputies food bucks
There you go.
so
And
they can eat.
I think one thing that it's in the packet, but they actually show where they're going to be using money for advertising. So pushing outside of this market is key to all
That's
of
key.
this.
Tourism will pay the media source or vendor. So in other words, we don't give money to the organization. They go out, they select what media sources they want. We contract with them and we pay them. So we're paying the daily advance, we're paying the radio station. We don't give money to the organization. We also require that tourism be provided a booth or display area free of charge. if we do give them money, at or near the entrance to the event. And they also need on their promotional materials to put sponsored in part by the Currituck County Travel and Tourism Department. So that's a must. And the other is, about 30 days after the event, they need to send us some kind of a written report, no more than 100 words, so it's not a burden, just to let us know how the event was and how did the dollars help them grow their event. So that's the event assistance. Now, we used to have 3 tiers of attendance. We've modified that, and you'll see that in the packet, is that under 500 attendees and over 500 attendees. It used to be 100, maybe it was even 4 tiers. We've tried to simplify that, but they get more money up front for that first year, second, and third. So they do have more money. However, an applicant can have as many events as they want, can come to us as many times as they want during the year, but we do cap their award at $4,000. So they can't get more than $4,000 even if it's spread out over 3 or 4 events. So that's the marketing assistance. Does anybody, as you were looking at it, have any questions? All right, now the event grant program. The Tourism Advisory Board decided that they wanted to look into providing more substantial awards for events so that we can get bigger events into the county. We looked at a lot of event programs. This is actually modeled on the Outer Banks event grant program. They have quite a robust program, quite a lot of steps that they have to do, and we really liked that program. Of course, we modified it for ourselves, but it's a very extensive application process, and it's a very extensive accountability process after the event is over. And we felt that that was important because we're giving a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer money to these organizations, and we need to hold them accountable. So as I went over before, an event shall be defined as a new or existing organized sporting event, concert, exhibition, festival, fair, or celebration, which is conducted according to a prearranged schedule and is deemed to have the potential to attract visitation to Currituck County. Once again, visitation, that's important. And I already went over with you what we consider to be a visitor to the county. Funding for the events grant program shall be included in the annual Currituck Travel and Tourism budget in the amount of $100,000 per year. Grants will be awarded to individuals not to exceed $20,000. They don't have to ask for $20,000, but they can't get more than $20,000. So we were looking at the fact that if we had $100,000, we could fund 5 events at $20,000, which is rather nice. Individual organizations and businesses can only receive 1 grant per year. And event grant funds are to be distributed for approved invoices only. And in your packet, you'll see I've broken it down into what is an approved expense and what is a non-approved expense. Again, the applicant must be located in Currituck County or partnering with a county applicant. What's a little bit different here than with the event assistance program is that they must meet with me. They must meet with the tourism director to go over everything that needs to be in place in order to get this grant. So our idea is that we're going to mentor them through the process. We're not going to do it for them, but we're going to be available as a resource. So if they have some ideas about, well, where do I want to put my dollars? Because we do that all the time, we might be able to help them identify the best method, whether it be online, through print, all the other display ads, all those different kind of things. The event, again, must be in Currituck County and open to the public. Now, in the grading criteria, we will give additional weight to events that are held in the shoulder season or off season. So they will get a little bit of extra points awarded in that grading process. Again, just like in the event assistance program, the majority of attendees must be from outside the county. Applications for this grant will be accepted between December 15th and December 31st and received no less than 4 months before the start of the project. Now, this first year is going to be a little bit different because if we have the December deadline, but we have an event that somebody wants to do in March, we'll give it a little wiggle room there the first year, but then they're going to have to make sure that they're getting it in before the event is scheduled.
But if you're only accepting them from the 15th to the 31st, how would they do that? You're saying your application.
They can send them in before that.
Okay.
So that's when we'll take that. That's the period where they'll need to be in, but they can get them in before that time.
Got it.
The Tourism Advisory Board will evaluate each application received. They'll grade it, and then they'll come to the Tourism Development Authority with recommendations. So you all have the final say on the awarding of the grants. So we'll go through it. The Tourism Advisory Board will go through it. They will grade it. They will come to you with recommendations.
Say if I wanted to have an event, I was going to have a big concert,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to you, and y'all say you're going to award me up to $20,000, and at that event, most of the people are from Currituck County.
We do have the ability, that's a codicil in the grants, that if they do not meet the criteria, we can pull the funding. We don't have to pay.
Well, we find out after the fact, the next year they might not get the funding. They can come back year after year for it.
For 3 years.
But you wouldn't take it away. Say if I had a big concert and God forbid it was full and the majority of the people were from Currituck.
Yeah, we would not reward that funding next year.
And Currituck residents.
Right.
No.
Kitty, you're not advertising correctly if you're only getting Currituck people there.
No, they will be evaluated that way. And for example, if they bring to us an invoice to pay that's on the non-approved list, we won't pay it. And that's things like we don't pay for lodging, we don't pay for gifts, we don't pay for certain things. We pay for advertising. The rental of the venue, we'll pay for that. We'll pay for production costs, things like that. The application, after it's sent to you guys, must receive the majority vote of the attending TDA for final approval. So it's up to you all to decide whether to award the funds or not. And that's a lot of money. So but I really think that it is going to help us grow some events. Because the Tourism Advisory Board, the Tourism Department already does several events, and we're about tapped just from manpower and time. And this is an opportunity for other people with energy and great ideas to come in and do something. And we'll sit there and advise them and mentor them and hopefully continue to grow events on the mainland and at the beach.
I think if I doubt any of the Tourism Advisory Board members are watching tonight, but we had 3 meetings, I guess two separate for the initial concept, and then we met separately. And the majority of the Tourism Advisory Board members were there 2 different times to come up with this and get it to this point. So I just want to commend them for the extra effort that was put in to come up with this. And it all just kind of came out of an idea for me to help out events. And the grant program the staff came up with and appears to be a great program. So
now,
thank you.
What we'll do is there will be a separate, I've got to talk to Sandra, our finance director, about this, but we'll create a different line item in my budget so that we will be able to keep track of that better, so it's not going to be in the promotion budget per se. So that $100,000 will be sitting there by itself, and we'll draw down from that so that we'll know we don't go over. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. I certainly am looking forward to it. All right. Any more questions, comments, concerns from Ms. Tamron? Then I will move to approve.
Second.
No second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carries unanimously. And can I have a motion to adjourn the special meeting, please? Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And you're going to close session. All right. I move to enter closed session pursuant to GS 143-318.11A6 to discuss matters related to personnel, and GS 143-318.11A3 to consult with the county attorney and to preserve attorney-client privilege related to the matter entitled Ayers v. Currituck County Department of Social Services.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.